I am Ahita Gangavarupu, and I am currently working in the area of Internet of Things security, and have been engaging in internet governance space since the past 3 years now, which includes my contribution and work with Youth IGF India. So Youth IGF India, for panelists and for those of you who have joined now, is a platform that aims to bring together youth of India to learn, network, and discuss internet governance-based policies, regulations, and technological developments that interest the youth, that affect them and their society. So we are a platform that is recognized by the United Nations Internet Governance Forum and supported by the India School of Internet Governance. And this year we have support from Facebook as well for our annual forum. So panelists, just to summarize the first half of the day and for everyone else who has joined now, we had Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant from the National Cybersecurity Coordinator for our country as a keynote, and he introduced the themes data and trust. Following this, the first half, we had sessions around data, starting from emerging technologies and challenges, then data lifecycle, and then data governance and the ethical considerations. Now, post-lunch, we were working towards having sessions on trust, covering the theme of trust. And we had Mr. Rahul Shashi, who's the founder of CloudSec, touch upon dark web, and a lot of hands-on experiments on how you can understand if you're being pawned or if you're coming across illegal content or fraudulent content online. Now in the second half, from now onwards, we have a panel discussion titled Cybersecurity and Privacy in the Digital Sphere. The moderator is Mr. Samiran Gupta, who is the head of India at ICANN, the International Cooperation for Assigned Names and the Internet Cooperation for Assigned Names and Numbers, my bad. Mr. Samiran Gupta is the head of India for ICANN and a veteran in business strategy and public affairs management. Prior to joining ICANN, Mr. Gupta was a senior director with APCO Worldwide, responsible for counseling global clients in business and public affairs strategy. He has worked extensively in sectors including telecom and internet technologies, entertainment, fintech, e-commerce, social media, energy, and renewables. Mr. Gupta holds a master's degree in business administration from St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, United States of America, and a Bachelor of Commerce from University of Calcutta, India. Thank you so much, Samiran sir, for joining in, for also supporting Youth IGF India since the day one. So over to you, if we can proceed with the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Ahita. Wonderful to be here. And thank you for putting together a list of stalwarts and very distinguished panelists and it's my privilege and pleasure to be moderating this discussion. So very quickly, let me introduce the three panelists, and I would request them to kindly turn on their cameras so that the others who have joined can see them. So Dr. Gulshan Rai is a distinguished fellow at the Observer Research Foundation and Chief Information Security Officer at the Prime Minister's Office, Government of India. Dr. Rai has over 30 years of experience in information technology, including e-governance, cybersecurity, and cyber laws. He has held the positions in the National Cybersecurity Coordinator, as National Cybersecurity Coordinator, my apologies, in the Prime Minister's Office, and then Director General CERT-IN, or the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team in the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, amongst several other prestigious positions. I have had the distinct privilege of working very closely with Dr. Rai in the past, and again, sir, welcome to this panel. Also joining us is Dr. Sriram Birudavolu. Dr. Birudavolu is currently the CEO of Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, Data Security Council of India, which is a NASSCOM initiative based in Hyderabad. He holds a PhD in international business, open innovation in ICT, telecoms, innovation strategy, etc. from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, and he has experience of over 9 years with Oracle and was also director in Oracle Communications. He has been Senior Vice President and Head of Information Sciences at T-Hub, Hyderabad. and has worked with companies such as HP and VeriSign. He's also an author of the book, Business Innovation and ICT Strategies. And our last panelist is Professor Dr. Sandeep Kumar Shukla. Dr. Shukla is an IEEE Fellow and an ACN Distinguished Scientist. He was the head of Computer Science and Engineering Department at IIT Kanpur between 2017 and 2020. Incidentally, IIT Kanpur is the oldest faculty for computer science in India. He held the Poonam and Prabhu Goyal Chair Professorship at IIT Kanpur in the past. He was also editor-in-chief of ACM Transactions and Embedded Systems during 2013 and to 2020, and associate editor for ACM Transactions on Cyber Physical Systems. He holds a PhD from the State University of New York in Albany. In 2014, he was named Fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEEE, for contributions to applied probabilistic models checking for system design. Again, welcome to all the three panelists. We have, Ahita, you need to tell us how much time we have since we are starting late. If you can kindly let us know.
So we can take the session till 4:05.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. So we've got about 50 minutes. And the way I'd like to do this is invite each of the three speakers to make a statement, along with perhaps some, opening statement, along with a couple of questions that I'm going to pose to them. And then we will hopefully get into a discussion where they can actually take some questions from the floor, and we can have an interactive session. So I'm starting with Dr. Rai. Dr. Rai, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm grateful to you for your kind introduction, and grateful to you as well as the ITA and the forum for inviting me, giving me a chance to speak, give my views, and to interact with the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, I have a, as an opening, I wanted to ask you that, you witnessed the evolution of India's internet space over the last 3 decades. Can you please share with us how the concept of security and privacy has evolved in India over time? Because I think, where we are today is very different from, where things were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So if you can just give us a bird's eye view of how things have evolved over this period of time. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think, Mr. Gupta, you have asked a important issue which our younger generation must know. The history, how did we start? What was the struggle when to start this kind of a internet connectivity, internet brought in India, and the security, the concept which is started in India, not only for internet, for in general there. Friends, in 1992, there were only 130 websites on the internet. And today, there are a couple of billions websites are there. And those websites are not a simple static website like 192. They're all complex portals with the backend databases there. We started late, quite a bit late in the internet arena, but not that kind of a bit late there. The internet was brought to the country by a UN project, which was called a Education Research Network, of which I was also the executive director, not at the time of bringing the internet, but subsequently. It was a UNDP project, and they were to connect universities, and because of the connectivity they had to give, they were given the domain address. They were the first agency in the government for providing the domain registration, and they used to give arnet.in. That's what kind of thing they gave. And they were the people, first people to create a TCP IP based network. Prior to that, there was a company called a CMC, which in those days used to be called a Computer Maintenance Corporation. They were going on a X400 and NIC went on X.25 protocol. But ARNET was the first organization which implemented the TCP IP protocol, and the internet brought internet to the country where people can exchange mail, people can talk to anything, or you can host the websites. The whole infrastructure was set up somewhere in 1995, 1994. That was the time frame when we first brought to internet into the country. The gateway was in Mumbai, so-called those days NCST, National Center for Software Technology, at Air India building, and subsequently shifted to the Joe building. That's where the internet started there. In 1997, by 1997, we had a good population, and in between the VSNL, those days called VSNL, today is called Tata Communication Limited, they also enter into the commercial aspect of the internet, and they started providing the internet on a commercial basis, created their own VSNL mail and that browsing kind of thing. But actually, the whole revolution came when the internet was, the licensing policy was introduced there. Professor Abdul Kalam was the chairman, committee chairman, which was set up, and it was taken, a very forward step was taken to create give the license of internet at 1 rupee only, and that practice still continues today. That is the thing where the internet has started. That was in 1997 and 1998. That's where things started there. That's the background. Until today, that practice starts, and today we categorize A, B, C category. All the entry countrywide A, the district B, small pocket city C. That's where the categories were started. That kind of a thing. When the internet was started, the security was not built at the design of the internet there. So there were issues of the internet. It was simple connectivity. I remember those days, if Dr. Gupta permits me, during that, I mean, the entire issue of security first time raised in 1988-89 was a question kind of things there. A committee was formed by the parliament. Since then, when I look at the internet and I look at the complexity of the systems today, the security has been improved leaps and bounds there. Leaps and bounds. Security has been improved. My younger generation
I think Dr.
not servers in the country. That's the situation we have.
So we lost you for a moment. I think your connection is unstable.
Hello? Hello? So
Sir,
are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello?
But
Hello?
Yes. So we can hear you now, but we
Hello?
lost you for some time.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that since then, there is a tremendous impact in terms of improvement in the security, because the environment which we are dealing with is today very complex. They're all heterogeneous devices. Lot more internet has expanded. We have 13 root servers there, and in fact there are committees in the ICANN there which looks after the security. The security which was started as a kind of a academic interest today is become shifted from academic to a professional interest, and the issues have become much more complex than what we have seen in 1988 and 1997 when the internet was licensed and in the 2020, with the onset of the technology like artificial intelligence, big data, whole IoT, this issue is becoming more and more complex. Today, every professional entity using the robotic process automation, which automatically start detecting, doing the, which has a combination of AI, combination of ML, combination of big data. So the issue of security has become very, very important there. The other thing which has happened is that today we have migrated from a hardware-based item to a software-based item. Today, 80% of the cost of the device is towards the software. So we are all driven by the software, and therefore the issues of security have become very, very important in today's environment. Thank you. Mr. Gupta, I don't know how much time I have.
Thank you, sir. We'll come back to you as we go
Sure.
along. Thank you for your
Sure.
opening remarks. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Can I please call on Dr. Sriram, who's the CEO of DSCI. Sir, it would be nice if you can tell us a little bit about Data Security Council of India. I don't know if you've spoken earlier on this panel with this audience, and in particular, if you can tell us what are the new kinds of cybersecurity challenges that you are seeing, particularly with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, if you can just share some insights around how that is coming along, please, Dr. Sriram.
Thank you very much, Samiran. So it's quite a pleasure and an honor to be on this panel, in this distinguished panel, I should say. Very happy to see Dr. Gulshan Rai here, who's spoken on a number of occasions. Thank you, Samiran, and of course, Ahita, who's done a wonderful job of putting this whole program together. And of course, the panelists, my distinguished panelist, Sandeep, Shukla. Now, actually, many of you must have heard of DSCI, Data Security Council of India. So very briefly, DSCI, Data Security Council of India, is the cybersecurity arm of NASSCOM. So NASSCOM, as you know, is India's largest and most venerated IT industry body. And they are into practically every segment of IT. All the large, medium, small industries are there. And also, which are not traditionally IT bodies like banks, okay, energy companies, or healthcare companies, pharma companies. All of these are also there. I'll come to that in a moment. So DSCI is the apex body, industry body for cybersecurity in India, in a nutshell. So we are into a range of things, right from helping governments, academic institutions, and of course, we are an industry body. So I'll start with the industry first. Industry has large companies, medium companies, small companies. Our DNA is that of industry. Then in large companies, of course, we are very closely engaged on a variety of things. We're basically helping them establish their footprint, whether they are GCCs or Indian companies, and helping them grow their cybersecurity quotient in India. And we have published a number of reports. For example, the product landscape report in India, the services landscape report in India, Secure in India report for pertaining to GCCs. For those of you who do not know GCCs, they are MNCs, what were earlier called Global Innovation Centers or Global In-House Centers. Now they are called Global Capability Centers. All the MNCs which have a kind of establishment or a center in India. Okay, and of course, so we have found that really it's not the cost factor, but the talent factor that is pulling them in. That's the number one factor. That's very good to know. And they are doing some very high-end work in India, not just some back-end work, but the leadership is represented really at the global level, okay, the global executive level, leadership level in their respective companies. So we help them, and we conduct research to help these entities, all of these Indian companies also. So India as such has been undergoing a tremendous growth, as you know. There are over 1,000 engineering centers across the world, our Indian companies and our companies generally have. And that's the Indian growth story in 80 countries, spread over 80 countries. Okay, so and also internally within India, we've been UPI platform, for example. It recorded in June, it recorded 1.5 billion transactions worth about 3.3 lakh crores, I think, rupees. Okay, so which is a tremendous growth. And given the scale at which the internet is rising, as Dr. Gulshan Rai has mentioned, we would really be looking at the virtual space really well. Even if you look at your lifestyle or people look at their lifestyle, you would see that you are probably booking an Uber, Ola, Paytm paying through Paytm, using email, social media, then maybe ordering food on Swiggy, and also again going to a Coursera course, okay, and in the evening again ordering something, your groceries or other stuff on Flipkart or Amazon, and then watching again a movie on Amazon Prime or Netflix. So you see, it's all going digital, and it is not just the tier 1 cities and all, but you look at even the tier 2, tier 3 cities also, with all the bottom of the pyramid also, with Jandan, Aadhaar, eSeva, all of these services, and many of these healthcare, agri-tech services, which many startups are rolling out. So you'd see that there is a large, the digital growing footprint, as it rightfully should be. The economy, society, and the individual lifestyle are moving towards digitalization. So the security of it has become paramount, because borders can be cross-border attacks also, a lot of attacks. So that is why we need to really ramp up in this area. So large industries, medium industries, we have to have our own indigenization and our own success stories in India. So we are strongly supporting the startup ecosystem. So in startups, what do startups need? Cybersecurity startups, we have mapped, there are about 200 of them in India. And they need access to market, access to capital, access to mentorship, collaborations, and is in this day and age of AI and ML, they need access to data as well. We do have DSCI has incubation centers, both in Noida as National Center of Excellence, as well as in Hyderabad Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, which is there. And the second pillar is that of government, in which we have central government, state government, law enforcement agencies, and defense, policy making, Ministry of Communications, all of these are there. So in policy making, we're particularly strong, we strongly participated in the privacy bill, right from Justice Sri Krishna Committee report. At that time, we gave the inputs to the one that is the current PDPP bill, which is tabled in the parliament. And we are also working on giving inputs to the non-personal data bill also, which is going to come up. And on the cyber laws, which even Prime Minister Modi had mentioned in his August 15th speech, the current, Dr. Gulshan Rai has laid an excellent groundwork and framework for this at that time, and the current Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant, who I believe earlier in the day he addressed the audience. So they were all together are putting together cyber laws, and we have contributed towards that as well from DSCI's side. So strong in government side, policy making side also, plus working with all of these, be it on cyber forensics. DSCI has a CCI TTR lab, which is Cyber Crime Investigation Training and Research Lab, working closely with the Karnataka government, and they have a very advanced state-of-art lab in these things for digital forensics and for cyber crime investigation. Okay, so research is another very strong area here. We do help the government. The third pillar is that of academia and R&D. We work with many academic institutes, all the top academic institutes, for research projects, for capability building, and for their own setting up their own cybersecurity centers of excellence, so that we can grow and nurture entrepreneurships from there as well. So because we can pass these laws and we can see overall global demand, if you see, and it's about growing to be about $250 billion market worldwide. So there are two goals here: strengthening ourselves in cybersecurity in India, as well as capturing a share of the pie of the global market. Okay, so how will you do that without having the talent pool for that? Who is going to do it? Who is going to create all these good products and services to serve the markets, as well as strengthen our infrastructure? With IoT and all, even our infra stands to be hacked. So that is why we strongly have associations with the academic institutes to produce talent pool in terms of quality and quantity. Then the fourth pillar is very important, that of user groups. That means who are the user groups as against the first pillar? These user groups are the ones like banks, like energy companies, healthcare companies, manufacturing, all the B2B, B2G, B2C, G2G, all of these are their user groups, plus the citizens also. who use antivirus or whatever. In every way, digital payment transactions, security and all need to be there. So user groups are very important because they are the ones that report breaches. They are the ones that invest in cybersecurity products and services. They are the internet users. They are the digital citizens, netizens, and they define the quality of service. We run something called use case clearinghouse workshops, in which we extract the critical use cases out of the user industry and present them to the main industry. Okay, so that really problem is solved of the gap, and we have built a huge pile of a good database of excellent use cases. So that is the user industry. The last one, I would say the fifth one for our center of excellence and all, are collaborations. So we collaborate with a number of entities, both Indian and foreign. Okay, so we have collaborations with Netherlands, with Hague Security Delta, which is the largest cybersecurity cluster in the world, with UK, with Israel, with Singapore, with Canada, a lot of companies, Estonia, and so on. Plus all the Indian IT, all the other industry bodies like CII, FICCI, and all that, SOCHM and all. So these are the this is roughly our portfolio, because the collaborations get us the multiplying power. Okay, where we engage everyone. So in a nutshell, this is what DSCI does. There are a number of advisories, reports, technology reports. We also have Tech Sagar, in which we have culled and really collated all the technologies, Indian technologies, which have been built. It's actually a repository of technology. I would invite everyone to look at that, as well as the use case clearinghouse workshops. Visit dsci.in to get more information, and ccoe.dsci.in to look at the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. To your specific question, don't know how much time I have, but I'll keep this really short, on what has happened in this pandemic times. So this pandemic has hit the reset button, and there's a paradigm shift. Things will never go back to normal as usual, because the work from home factor plus the cost savings factor, time savings factor, people are realizing that they did not spend too much time in the traffic, and also they can save costs in terms of real estate and all that. So with that, of course, there has been the downside, which everyone has, many others have elaborated on. The main shifts are in terms of the workplace, and the workforce. The workplace is now diverse. The contours of the workplace have completely considerably shifted, both in terms of geography as well as in terms of the devices you use, the networks you use, and all that. And this has the workforce also. The way they work would be flexible timings, and from anywhere, work from anywhere kind of thing. The workforce, the work itself now needs to be defined very carefully, the KRAs and all of those things, so that we would know that what the outcomes are. We're very outcome driven. The ones which are sensitive data restricted to very closed areas, even in data centers, you would need special permission to visit those. Those sensitive operations are also being done out of home also nowadays. So what has happened in terms of cybersecurity is that the threats have gone up 600% plus. Some estimate nearly 700%. Okay, so the biggest threats are in terms of identity and access management, ransomware attacks, phishing has increased, and attacks on APIs, platforms. Those have increased. IoT threats are increasing and will continue to increase with the advent of 5G. And of course, there were thousands of malicious domains and websites which were launched. This you would have seen even at the time when Arogya Setu was launched and PM Welfare Fund was launched. You would see that they've noticed that a lot of fake websites they sprung up. You can read about it, and similar things we are seeing everywhere. So this is a very big risk and danger, and it can happen across the border. So even jurisdictions, you may not be able to catch the criminals and all. And the number one reason why some foreign apps were banned was because of security reasons. Okay, and their equipment also banned many of the places around the world. So this is a very serious one. Indigenization is one of the remedies that is brought forward. It has been suggested and is being implemented, but there are many others as well. You need stronger collaborations. You need frameworks which take into account the technology, the regulations, the business, and the training, the talent, the pool of talented manpower, and also you have what you call your absolute frameworks, industry frameworks, which I would really like to talk about, meaning that you need to adhere to zero trust architectures or 1M2M frameworks, which have within them this build. So a lot of thought has gone in. We need to do that. Again, there is a problem of legacy systems, which means that there is a load of systems which are there, which are already there. They can't be easily be upgraded. For example, let's say you have old video cameras which are running on VxWorks and all that. You can't simply upgrade them. They can be hacked or taken over. So that is the thing. And startups do need investments and all, and the push towards digitalization, all these compound the problem. So I would like to close here, and we'll be happy to take any questions later on. But this is roughly the way in which the complex landscape is evolving with these new factors and forces. Thank you, Samiran.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sriram, for giving us a very detailed overview of the work that DSCI is doing, and also the threat landscape and how dramatically it's sort of changed over the last 6 to 9 months. Without any further ado, let me go to Dr. Sandeep Shukla. In fact, Dr. Sriram talked about the upcoming Personal Data Protection Act, but as an academic, I wanted Dr. Shukla's opinion on, what we see is that very often policymaking evolves slower than the speed of technological evolution. Could you suggest a template or guidance for policymakers to consider when examining security and privacy issues in new software applications? So how should policymakers look at emerging technology, because the time taken to create policy is invariably kind of longer. So Dr. Sandeep Shukla, over to you.
Thank you. Let me start by saying that the data protection bill is a shame on the name of privacy and security. And yesterday it came out in an RTI that the Argesetu data that was collected, the purveyors of the data did not even go by the protocol, the privacy protocol that they themselves designed. So the situation is pretty grave in the country. I think my other co-panelists may not agree, because they seem to be very optimistic about what's happening. I sometimes wonder when I listen to these whether I am a pessimist by nature, or is it that they are not seeing what I am seeing. So if I go and talk to, for example, a hydroelectric power corporation, one of them, they don't even use VPN when they allowed people to work from home. After we talked to them into it, they had a vendor install VPN, but now they don't know how secure it is. When I go and talk to an utility in a place like UP, power utility, they don't even believe that security is an issue, privacy of customers is an issue, and we have seen what has happened with Aadhaar. So, millions of people's data got leaked through, not necessarily from the other's own database, but other databases that were rampantly, seeded with people's other data. There are government sites where other PDF files were kept. Even today, after Supreme Court decision, we get asked to show our Aadhaar card and give copies of them to various people. And one should know that the SIM fraud can happen. In fact, that's actually very common to get a SIM card in somebody else's other, card copy that somebody gets. So overall, the security situation is very bad. Privacy is not taken seriously. So I'll give you an example. So when you're talking about policy, I have joined IIT Kanpur 5 years ago. And before that, I was in US University when we had cybersecurity policy document. The institute had a policy as to what should be the, what we can, what kind of password we need to have. We need to have two-factor authentication. We need to have websites. We cannot just bring up a website with PHP and other active components without having it tested by the VAPT team. When I came here, I wanted that at least some policy is written down and board approved, and so that everybody has to go and maintain that policy. And 5 years down the line, there has been no progress whatsoever. We don't have a policy for security on the campus. And last week, I got a message from one of the government agencies that one of our websites was having local file inclusion. When I tested it, I could actually have a reverse shell on that server. And once I have the reverse shell, I could basically take over the server and also other servers, other systems on the same network, which included my system as well. So I think that the policy-wise, even organizations such as a power utility or a academic institute of national importance, they don't have policy, and therefore it is not possible to have policy without regulators actually working hard in bringing up the policy. So I have been on the SEBI's cybersecurity committee, and we have a new guidelines coming up for cybersecurity. Now, SEBI actually in 2015 was one of the front runners in this. They actually came up with the policy, which was pretty elaborate. And the policy spells out, the encryption of data to password, lifetime, to, use of intrusion detection, to use of firewalls, use of partitioning the network, all kinds of, important aspects of system architecture, protection, privacy, all that. And they actually take it very seriously. They actually require the organizations under SEBI to actually show them audit reports, and if the audit report finds something that is in violation of the regulations, then they actually fine them. And I have seen them fine one large stock exchange. Then RBI was the second one, which came up with their own set of regulatory policies. They didn't call it policy because they are not really policy, they are guidelines. And then they required that every bank should have its own cybersecurity policy, which should have a CISO and should have a steering committee, which will be actually evolving a policy which can be stronger than the guideline. And then it has to be approved by the board. And then RBI actually also takes it very seriously. On the other hand, if you go and look at the power sector, so the day after, during the recent Chinese, situation in Ladakh, there was a power ministry order that was sent to all the power, utilities and organizations that they need to have something to test equipments that are from China and some other countries. We got a number of calls from various organizations, including the regulator. There was a meeting called in a big hurry and all that stuff. And then since the situation kind of got itself dissipated, I don't see any activity there. So if the regulators then went quiet, they formed a task force, and the task force had one meeting, and after that, everything is quiet. So they are not really serious about policy making. So if you are not serious about policy making, you are always behind the technology in policy making, right? You have to have the driving force for policy making, and that driving force comes only when some incident happens, some order gets sent out, and then everything goes quiet. So that having said, I think the other problem with the policy making is that the number of people who actually understand cybersecurity in the country are very, very small. And when there's the number is that small, you have a lot of people who claim to understand cybersecurity. So I have seen CISOs who were IT people in the organization, and since they were told to have a CISO, they actually promoted somebody as a CISO, and the person has no background in security. He's learning kind of things on the jobs, but he doesn't have time because he's always in a meeting. So I think the issue of policy making is stuck by the fact that that we are not serious about policy making, and we don't have the right people in the policy making arena. And the other issue is that the issue about taking things seriously, like a lot of bank frauds happen. How many of them actually get resolved or addressed by the cyber cells, right? So we have seen a lot of situations in which the redressal mechanism did not work. And if the redressal mechanism doesn't have to work, there is no oversight, there is no court instructed or a mandate that we have to actually resolve these cases. Who cares about cybersecurity? So most of the time, police will not even take an FIR for small amounts, right? So they will just say that this is a small amount of fraud, you don't have to worry about it. In some cases, if you lose money because of some fraud, it's hard, depending on who you are. The banks may not even believe that it is not you who made the transaction, because your OTP was somehow fraudulently obtained from you, and then they will say that it is you. So I think that the laws in the country are also very much lacking. So we are still working under IT Act of 2008. And there are some, extra things like certain regulations. There is some of the privacy regulations tucked into CMA, the company rules, and NCI IPC rules for critical infrastructure, this kind of stuff. But even when you look at these, NCIPC, for example, they don't. So when they look at a power utility, the power utility usually have a field network, then which is the ICS, all the equipment, sensors, and all that, and then they have the OT, and then the OT is connected to the field network, and then the OT may be connected to the IT network. So I keep hearing this question like, should OT be only the declared critical, or should the entire thing should be declared critical? I mean, how is that a question? I mean, the attack surface is all over the place. Attack surface can come from the IT network and escape into OT network and escape into the ICS. So why is it not that something as critical as a power utility has to even worry, has to even question this, that why is it that the only OT part is the critical? Because they are not serious about security, because power failure in India is considered pretty natural, like what happened in Bombay 2 weeks ago, right? So I think that those kind of things are a reason why policy is behind the technology. Policy should not be behind the technology. Policy, obviously, in every country, even in the US, the policy is slightly behind the technology, but they take it very, very seriously. And there is SIP that every power utility has to abide by. And SIP is a critical infrastructure protection regulation by the Federal Electric Regulatory Corporation. And people, when they're in violation, they have to be fined by $1 million for every day of violations from detection until they fix it. So all those laws are not there. So I think that I cannot say that policy is by nature behind technology. Policy has to be taken seriously, and they have to be done. Once you decide to do a policy, you have to do it like immediately within a matter of months. You cannot just have a meeting, task force meeting today and another one next year, right? So that's the kind of things I see here. And that's the, for example, the National Cybersecurity Strategy 2013 was supposed to be updated this year. And I hear that it is still not done because it is being modified before it goes to the cabinet. What does cabinet understand about cybersecurity strategy, right? So I think that there is also process matter, governance process matter. The governance, there should be a cybersecurity internet governance organization that should be empowered to make decisions. They don't have to go through various hoops in the government to get something done, and they should have the enough legal power to actually enforce it, enforce the regulations, enforce the policy and strategy. I think that all that stuff basically makes it very, very dangerous today. And I am not very hopeful that it will change.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. You've given us a lot of food for thought. And, main thing that you said is that there's a need to be serious about policy making. And otherwise, we will always be behind, and having the right people and taking things seriously. And of course, updation of the IT Act. Thank you. If Dr. Rai is still available, sir, are you there, Dr. Rai?
I am there.
Thank you, sir.
I was listening. I am not gone. I was all along there.
Thank you. So you heard Dr. Shukla's comments. I wanted to, sir, hear from you that if you can explain how the importance of security and privacy are being looked at in the context of as a national interest in the proposed personal data protection bill. And sir, before you start, I just wanted to acknowledge that there is a question from Varini Gupta. I'm not sure whether it's for the panelists or otherwise, but if it is, kindly let us know, and we'll take it after Dr. Rai is done. Please go ahead, sir. Dr. Rai.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think I feel sorry if initially when I was speaking, there was some Wi-Fi or connectivity problem there. Now I'm on a better kind of a internet platform. Friends, as I was saying, when I finished that the whole scenario of the cyber is become much complex than what I started looking at it right from 1988 or 89, and the complexity has gone exponentially there, and it has become a more heterogeneous, a jungle of heterogeneous devices, different applications, and different kind of practices we are following. The whole situation will become more complex when we are down the line, 1.5 years, we are going to have the 5G connectivity. Huge bandwidth will come up there. And I also said that today, the all devices are software controlled. Since all the participants here are all good academic background, with the onset of 5G, we'll be achieving complete virtuality in the cyberspace. We have seen how the hardware, first the storage, and then the system what made virtual. We all talk about cloud, and we talk about the VM. We take a VM, we don't talk about the CPU, we don't talk about the core, we talk about today the VM. And many of us, they are not able to correlate the VM and the cores there. So virtuality came in the storage, and the virtuality came in the system there. Then the virtuality came in the applications, in the operating system. And then today you have a virtuality in the network. So storage to system to network will completely achieve the virtuality. The situation is going to be very, very complex aspect there. There are two things there. Number one, the same technology which is used for the security of the systems or the devices. Same technology is used by the hackers to defeat the security and the of the system and the applications there. Then the concept of privacy has come up. So the security and privacy, normally they are taken together, but they are at the opposite end. When we want to secure, there has to be a monitoring so that there is no malicious things happening there. When you look at the privacy, there is no monitoring. So they are two completely opposite ends. So the privacy, onset of privacy has entire become a complicated issue. There is a security of devices, there is a security of applications, there is a security of system network there. And top of this, there is an issue of privacy, which again goes to the system, goes to the network, and goes to the application. These three, same thing happens there. So you can imagine the entire matrix. If you have a purely simple elements of security and privacy, three of component of broadly security, three of privacy, total 6 component, and they are just opposite to each other, and how they become make the situation, the solution of the matrix so difficult. This is the situation there. Now, the aspect which are is there, that one is the how we are geared up to address the security issue or meet the challenges of security and privacy together. That's one aspect. That's this aspect itself has 3 components there. One component is your technology. The second component is the processes. Third component is the law. And the fourth component is the structure which address the security and privacy. The security structure is now, there was initially is largely handled by the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. Telecom part is handled with the DOT. All the other parts is handled by the Ministry of IT, MIT, and within the MIT there is a body called CERT, which is a kind of a statutory regulator which handles the all aspects of security. They are the mother kind of organization to which they feed to, which feeds to every other, including DOT and all that. Telecom looks after into the security issues of the telecom only, but because of the conversion, there are a lot of overlap areas. Then there is a defense equipment which is looked after in the Ministry of Defense. There are issues relating to crime which are looked after by the Ministry of Home Affairs. And top of this, there is a National Cybersecurity Coordinator, the office which I set up there, and I was the first coordinator. Though Aita has not mentioned my name as a former National Cyber Coordinator, maybe she slipped there. But they oversee the entire cybersecurity operators in the country. They coordinate. Oversee means they coordinate. Each of the stakeholders which I described, MIT, Telecom, Ministry of Home Affairs, MOD, and they all work independently in their own areas. But the National Cybersecurity Coordinator, he coordinates the activity because an incident may happen in any of the 4 areas simultaneously, concurrently, or it may happen one and it may be leading to other. Today, we cannot distinguish between the private or public or military or civil. You can't differentiate. Everything is connected there on the internet, public or private network. They're all connected there. So the job of the NSCS is to coordinate the activity. That's the aspect where the government structures are there. Each of the agencies is performing their role. And in my view, they are doing a good role. All of them are doing good role. Lot more need to be done. This institution need to scale up in virtue of the complexity which has gone up there. There is always inertia in the government system, and there is always a lag behind the incident and the solution to handle the incident. Is always lag behind there. And multiple issues are there. Today, the entire security and privacy is a subject itself, its own subject. Then there is an issue of technology where the research and development happens there. And I think my another panelist, Dr. Sriram, has mentioned that how they are promoting the security by virtue of creating awareness, by virtue of working with the industry, banks and institutions to implement those security practices, by encouraging the industry to have their own innovations there, feeding them the data, providing them the space in the incubation center there. So that's another body which is helping them to do. That's what technologically they are doing it. But when it comes to the security aspect on this aspect there, the government has also taken many steps there. First of all, the government has mandated that 10% of the budget would be spent towards information technology. 1% of the information technology budget will be spent on the cyber security. Then now the government is trying to bring the preferential market access where they are focusing on Atmanirbhar, the localization or the local production of the product. They are putting that. And I will also say that there is a tremendous progress over a period of a time in creating the product. Lot many products are being created. Our market is going to be somewhere $35 billion, and we are able to produce somewhere around 50 crore items. We are able to produce security, very clearly security items. And now we have the indigenous antivirus systems and different kind of a architectures we already have. And I'm sure next couple of years, 2-3 years, we will be moving leaps and bounds in terms of creating the local product. The startup industry is helping. That's a research and development by what government is taking the preferential market access, reserving the market there. Then on the legal aspect there, which Dr. Shukla very nicely mentioned, there is the Information Technology Act. And then the government is thinking of amendment in the act to address the issues which have arisen because of the technological, emerging technology, AI and ML and big data, social media. Those amendments, it should happen there. So that amendments will happen. The government has already mandated that the ISO 27001 practices should be implemented, and these practices are enshrined as a part of the legal framework. There's a section 43A where the bodies are mandated to implement those security best practices if they are collecting the information from the public. So, and there are punitive action, there are penalties against that kind of a non-compliance of those standards there. Every financial institution is supposed to install the facilities for denial of service attack, because they need to prevent those denial of service attacks there. Like this, I mean, consent of the time, a lot of steps have been taken in respect of the encouraging the production, encouraging the research development, modification of the legal framework, and implementation of compliance of the practices there, and the creating a homogeneous, uniform kind of a framework in the country to address the issues appropriately. Well, the issue is that still we are little far away in terms of security. The gap between the security and the emergence of technology is moving. There's a wide gap, almost a gap of, if you plot on a XY coordinate, there's a gap of 45 degrees between the security and the emerging technology, which is diverging there, and which we need to bridge that. Hopefully, the government will be able to take out the policies. I'm not optimistic. Dr. Shukla said the other panelists are optimistic, and one has to be optimistic. And we have moved on positively, consecutively over time. But what we need today, we need a kind of a cooperation, and we need to work together. And in between, I missed that there is a body called Indian Computer Emergency Response Team. They're doing fantastic job, and they they are interacting with individual organizations, and they are very well equipped to handle the security. Only thing, they have to scale up their operation depending upon the, they're looking at the complexities there. So overall position is good. Appears to be that we have set up the basic foundation in terms of infrastructure. We need to move forward at a faster speed to address the issues which are arising because of the security. Now, the Data Privacy Act, which has come there, Data Privacy Act is right now is in the Parliament, and hopefully we will see in a couple of months' time, much before March 2021, the Act is, this will become the Act, real fact, legal framework of the country. There is a time of 18 months to implement the provisions of the Act, because every institution needs to be prepared. The few of the important provisions are there, that some of the information is declared as sensitive personal information, some of the information is a critical data information. Sensitive personal information, there are some rules and regulations applicable on them, which become more stringent in the form of a critical data. No critical data will be taken out of the comment. It has to be processed here, stored here, and necessary security framework need to be implemented. The framework, as and when implemented, will provide the basic framework which will have to be implemented. Every breach in the privacy or the security would require to be reported there. The common person will be able to get a compensation for the breach in the data, breach in the privacy of the information which they provide. Data, the consent will be taken. Any data will be shared only with the consent of a person whose data is taken there. He will be, there is not defined what the ownership of the data, but practically consent, indirectly defined, that if I don't give my consent to anyone to use my data, they will not be able to use it. So indirectly, it has been admitted that the ownership remains with the person whose data it belongs to, it pertains there. There are strict regulation of taking the data outside the country. There are strict penalties there for any breach in terms of the compliance of the security practices. In terms of breach, there are strict penalties, strict compensations are there, and the compensation goes as high as 4% of the total value of the turnover of the company. The entire framework is a complex. There are 100 provisions there. It's going to take a time, but it will change the entire paradigm aspect of the privacy and security in the country. And that's why it may take time, because ultimately we are in heterogeneous society where the security level is very low vis-a-vis the Western countries there. There we will find with uphill task before us, but I think we need to look at collectively, and we will be able to do that. There is no alternative. We need to implement it, because technology, we cannot avoid it. We need to use technology. So and in any younger generation, all of you are coming there who are much more trained in terms of usage, understanding of the technology. I feel that we need to really inculcate the habit of security and privacy in our day-to-day functioning there. We don't have to touch anything. We need to be very, very careful in posting the information which we feel is sensitive and which should not be shared with anyone. Data is located here and there. We don't know. It's all scattered around here and there. And once the digital data, it comes in the open, the footprints remains forever, for a long, long time, and you cannot change it. It can be good, it can be good, bad there. So risk factor, we need to look at it while sharing the data, while entering the data, or while dealing in the cyberspace. I think the time constraint is there. I've taken 15 minutes, but I mean, what I appeal to all of them two things. One is that if any incident happens, security, please share with the CERT in a confidential manner. They normally keep the information very confidentially. They don't attribute to anyone. There is and then cooperate and follow the practices and cooperate with the agency to observe security and privacy, because it's like a corona where not only you can impact others there. Now we have seen the corona, we have put a mask so that people don't impact me and I don't impact somewhere else there. Similarly, security aspect is like a corona pandemic. It can create really a pandemic. We are in a challenging time, challenging world in this technology ladder. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rai. I like your analogy about wearing a mask and the security aspect. The internet is a network of networks, and we need to keep ourselves safe so that we can keep everybody else safe. I'm afraid we are out of time, but I see a very robust discussion taking place in the chat room. Ahita, if you can kindly make sure that the question that was asked by Varini Gupta is shared with the panelists so that they can, Varini can get a response. With that, thanking everyone for their time and their inputs, I will call this session to a close. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samiran and Ahita.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ahita, I am the former cyber coordinator. I think
yes, sir.
You removed me from there, my designation. This whole
you
remove me. I don't know. Is it accidental or deliberate?
No, that's not deliberate at all, sir. We will get that right away. But thank you so much for joining Dr. Gulshan Rai, Dr. Sriram, and Dr. Sandeep Shukla, and Mr. Samiran Gupta for handling for moderating the panel so well. Youth, as youth, we all might not be aware of how the security actually got built into the internet and its evolution, and how the industry body, has been doing. Working in this regard in India, especially like Dr. Sriram mentioned about NASSCOM and DSCI. Then we also brought out all the work that is required to be done to strengthen the current institutional mechanisms and the processes to enhance cybersecurity. So thank you very much for all the time and all your inputs today.